The Chinese never expanded like that. They never had any colonies. They could have had colonies. I mean, China was far more advanced than its neighbors for a very long period of history. So, for example, the colonization of Southeast Asia would have been for the Chinese during the Ming Dynasty with those great ships of Zheng He and so on, an absolute doddle. But they didn't do it. And the reason the Chinese didn't do it was they weren't interested in doing it. And the reason they weren't interested in doing it was because the Chinese felt that as the Middle Kingdom, they were the center of the earth. They were the most advanced civilization. So why would they want to step outside of that civilization into varying degrees of barbarism and so on? No. Whereas this was absolutely the opposite to the Western experience. The Western experience, the Western tradition, of course, we're talking essentially about Europe for many centuries. The European desire was to expand and project its power outside its country, around the world, and to the colonies. The people were obliged to speak, English or French or whatever it was. The language of instruction in schools was always English or French or what have you. The religion that was proselytized was Christianity, and so on. That was a very different way of exercising power. Actually, I think that Europe historically was a very aggressive and expansionist and bellicose force. And we saw this eventually it came to an end with these two huge wars, the First World War and the Second World War, which were essentially the projection on a global scale of the many rivalries and so on that existed in the context of Europe. Well, of course, that's over now because Europe, shattered in 1945, has moved into a different sort, finally into a different sort of era. Now,